You are listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. Hello and welcome to Radio Nonsense, the official Comedy Club for Kids podcast that's suitable for all ages from 2. And everything in between. I'm Tiernan, and this week, listeners, it is time once again for Linda Watch. For any new listeners out there, because I know occasionally there are some, Linda is my official Radio Nonsense assistant, who very sadly for the last 7 years since Radio Nonsense began and I hired her, has never actually shown up to work even once. Linda, I'm doing another episode where I try and find out where you are, Linda. Do you want to come and listen or no? Ah, well, it was worth a try. You listeners have sent in so many good clues about where Linda might be that I've got to be very close to working out where she is by now. I've got a special sorting mailbag that can tell when the word Linda is in something you've sent in, and it puts it in an extra important pile for when I need to get back on the search for Linda. So I'm pretty sure that some of these letters that I'm going to look through today are going to really, really help. And Linda will be found soon. This is from a shrieking watermelon. Wow, even groceries and terrified fruit are helping out the search. Thank you, shrieking watermelon. And they say, Tiernan, I have done some important research about who is Linda, how is Linda, where is Linda, and why is Linda. And I have figured out that you is Linda. Also, you'll be attacked by lemons with arms and legs in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They're here! No, I'm not Linda. That's why I'm searching for Linda. If I was Linda, I'd find Linda really easily because I'd be like, where's Linda? I'm here. Brilliant. But I appreciate that. And thank you for the warning. But I actually seem pretty safe from dangerous lemons so far. So many lemons with arms and legs. Wait, hang on. I know what to do in this situation. I just poured 700 glasses of lemonade and they've all jumped in to have a relaxing bath. Me 1, lemons with arms and legs in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Hang on. Why haven't you jumped in, strange lemon?
I'm a potato, but I'm wearing a lemon costume for a fancy dress party.
Okay, have fun at the party.
Bye!
Well, that wasn't helpful at all. Next on Linda Search. This is from Puppy in the UK who says, Hup, 5 stars. Hey, Tiernan, here is a skunk. It may spray at you. Its spray will smell like rotten eggs and mouldy feet. But who cares because you now have a skunk. Yay! Woohoo! Yeah, shake your bum. Also, did you know that the skunk is called Linda? And I think it might be your Linda. What? Bye! Linda? Are you a skunk, Linda? Oh, no, that is awful. If you are Linda, I don't know if I want you here. Why would I hire a skunk? That seems... Hang on, skunk Linda, can you make coffee? Well, that's not helpful either. Well, if that is Linda, it's not the Linda that I want to help out on this show. Really useless. Right, come on, next letter. I hope you have some good Linda info. What if Linda isn't Linda's real name? Hello, my name is... laughing, crying, emoji face on its side, firework, and I am 10 stinky hippos old. Also, I sent you 1 million stinky capybaras and geese. Well, thanks. I don't really, where am I going to put those? And then they say, what if Linda isn't Linda's real name? And that's why she hasn't been answering you when you call her. And her name is really Linta, like belly button lint. Also, I love your podcast. And I commented on your other podcast, Bust or Trust. And you said that Athena had lots of podcasts because I said I love your other podcast. But I meant this one. Hooray! Thank you. That's a great idea. Laughing, crying, emoji, firework, different firework. Linta! Linta, are you there, Linta? Oh, I mean, maybe if she's made of lint, she's stuck in the washing machine or someone's belly button. Maybe she's using another name instead. Hey, Gordon Fartins. Hey, Dishwasher Paul. Hey, Pickling Susan. Hey, Derek.
Yes.
Are you really Linda?
No.
Oh well, worth a try. What's next? The ants have invaded. I'm sorry to say, but this building has been invaded by some very bad ants. Also, Linda is working at the local garden centre at the ornaments section. The ants have come. Hide everything. That's from Blue Tiny Berries in the UK. In the UK? That must mean that Linda's at a garden centre near me. I'll have to check that out. But hang on. Does that also mean I'm about to get invaded by ants too? Hey, put me down, ants. I still have more mailbag items to read. Oh, thanks for carrying the mailbag as well and passing it to me. Can all the listeners on Castbox get a shout out, please, from Qui-Gon Jinn? Of course, Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn. I'm so pleased that you and all of the Jedis listen to this show. And obviously, you know that all the listeners on Castbox use the Force for good. So I'll happily give everyone who listens to this show on Castbox a shout out. Ah! Also, while these ants carry me somewhere, where are we going? Let me quickly tell you, listeners, that today's guest is once again the brilliant Gary Panton, who has written a sequel to his brilliant book, The Notwitches, and the sequel is called The Notwitches Prison Break, and it's again illustrated superbly by Dottie Sutton. The first Notwitches book was excellently funny. I say that, I never really got a chance to read it because my daughter hogged it and would not let me check it out. But this one is also, as far as I know, very, very funny too. So for all of you UK listeners only, there is a chance to win a copy, as I have 3 to give away on the show. All you have to do is get your nearest flubbery gulper, sorry, I mean grown up, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk with the words, "Can I has a book, please?" And the first 3 will win a copy. You can also use that email address to send in questions that you need answering, info on Linda, whatever you like. And please do check out comedyclubforkids.co.uk to find out when we're doing live shows near you. We've really gone quite a long way now, Ants. Where exactly are we going? Ants? Ants? Well, while I get taken away by ants, you'd better listen to this most importantest bit. Oh yeah, very excited. He is back again. I am joined by the recently elected official mayor of Clowntown. It's Gary Panton. Gary. It's really nice to see you again. How are you?
I'm excellent, thanks. And thanks for using my full name there, because people don't always say all the Garys. They don't understand that I actually have a middle name, which is Gary. People sometimes get that wrong, so I'm very pleased that you did that. And also really pleased that you mentioned my my recent mayoral election, which I've been working on for such a long time, and it's great to finally get over the line with that.
I need to talk to you all about that mayoral election, because I think it's very, very exciting. But I do just have to say, I saw about your full name, and I apologise that I didn't do it last time you were on the show. But I understand, is that right, that you're named after was it your grandfather, who was called Gary, who was named after his grandfather, who I believe was called Gary. Is that correct?
Yes. What we like to do in the family is add another Gary with every generation.
Yes.
Yeah, and that goes all the way back to caveman times, basically, when the first Gary hatched.
Wow.
And that Gary, he was a trailblazer, and we've been honouring him ever since.
That's amazing. And I just, this is the thing, we're in the modern age where we can trace back our ancestors so far now, and all the way to the first Gary. I mean, that's incredible.
This is the thing. If everyone just did this, it would make it so much easier, because we would just decide that my family is the Garys, your family could be the Tiernans.
Yes.
But then you get people like Gary Lineker and other Garys just taking on the name and confusing things. So when you try to chart your family history, you suddenly get all these other Garys in the way.
Gary Lineker. He's always causing trouble, that man. Like, why?
He really is.
Wow. Yet again, more trouble from Gary Lineker. It doesn't surprise me, Gary, and I'm so sorry that your family of Garys has been ruined by wrongful Garys.
It's okay. We are getting through it, but it's been a bit of a difficult time, really.
Yes, I bet. Have you ever thought about getting your own back and just going rogue and changing a name slightly, just to that kind of stealing someone else's name? I suppose that's still stealing, isn't it? It's not nice to do. horrible things
Yeah.
in revenge.
I mean, that would be so disrespectful to my own family, I think,
That's
if I
true.
was if I was to do that. I guess maybe I could change it by just adding some extra Garys and trying to get myself a little bit more gravitas in that way.
That's true. And I think it also, you could do somewhere, some Garys are just in capital letters or in italics, or, so that you have to say them. So you'd be like, Gary, Gary, go, Gary, 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 and add some question marks, exclamation marks, kind of, so that people really have to express it when they say it to you.
I always thought it would be quite nice to have a name that is just a particular font. It doesn't matter what the word it doesn't matter what the word is. It just has to be in that font. So maybe Comic Sans would be quite nice.
Yes.
Or Wingdings, any of the fonts really. But yeah, one that you could have bold, underline, and italic at the same time, because that's sort of like the holy grail if you're if you're
Wow.
typing something to
Yeah,
get to
and
use all
even well, I
three.
was going to say, and then strike through, but then that would ruin then people would think they weren't to say it, which would be tricky. There was
Yeah, yeah.
I went to university a very long time ago with someone who insisted that they were going to call their son Steve with a question mark. So that they'd always say Steve, and they'd would you like dinner, Steve? And it would always be a question, always be sort of mysterious. And I thought that was a really nice way to do it.
I like that very much. I don't know why we don't have that. We have hyphens in names, but we don't seem to have taken on other. We have the occasional apostrophe of people who've got like an O in their name.
Oh yeah.
But we don't really use many like semicolons or
Yeah, it's odd that,
yeah,
isn't it? Or even
em dash.
ellipses. And I just for the listener, I think all our listeners know what these are because they all learn things. But they're the little three dots that make something sound like it's mysterious or something's going to happen. I'm not telling you, Gary. You know all the words. You're a word person. But like if
I
you
have
put
learned every word.
you know every word. I know you know every word. But all of them, even the ones that other people don't know. But by like a few ellipses in a name would make that person so mysterious. Or you could put it after the first name, so the second name's like a surprise.
Yeah, I would like that. Or just also like having your second name in a slightly bigger font than your first name. So to tell that people know they have to shout your second name or just say it at a slightly louder volume. We should be doing these things. Now we've all got access to Microsoft Word. I'm surprised this isn't happening.
Yeah, I really like that idea. I'd be like Tiernan, do ya? And that would really throw Gary Panton. That would be very good. It would also really. Oh, I was going to say school registers, but school registers are only first names, really, aren't they? So you'd lose it. There would have to be just some sort of roll call would be fantastic. But
Yeah.
well, listen, Gary, it's so lovely to have you back. And yes, you are, I believe, recently elected mayor of Clowntown, which, and I hope you don't take this as demeaning or disrespectful, because I don't mean like that. But you don't seem like a clown to me. Every time I've spoken to you, you know what's going on. You're an expert in your field. You haven't got a big red nose. I don't know what shoes sizes you're wearing. I don't know if they're very long or not. But you've always seemed quite sensible. And so how on earth have you ended up in charge of Clowntown?
Well, it's been my ambition for a long time to change the image of clowns,
Right.
because they're always known for their big shoes and their red noses and their cars. So many of them piling into cars. Yeah,
Yes.
just have a car each. It's okay, clowns.
Well, you say that, but it's very environmentally friendly to have that many clowns in one car.
That is true, but that was the Green candidate. That was his argument. But I chose to go down a different route. Of I
Sure.
just want all the clowns to have their own cars. I'm like, it's not really about the environment. It's about having more sensible clowns, and then we can tackle the environment after that.
That's fair.
But
And also, I suppose a
yeah.
lot of clown cars don't have an engine. They sort of move them. Their feet go through the floor, don't they? They sort of walk them along. So that maybe that.
Which,
Yeah.
which is even more reason not to bother with the big shoes, really.
Yes. You're right. There's a lot of. I mean, I have to say, the more you say this, the more it's like clowns haven't really thought anything through about how they operate. That like they rarely eat custard pies. They're always throwing them. And I think just eat one. Just get a spoon. Eat a
Yeah,
custard
yeah.
pie.
Yeah, and I mean, I would like to get more clowns into offices, more clowns into universities, Um, Maybe clowns working in the fire brigade because they're quite good going up and down ladders.
Yes, that's a good
So
point.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's so many ways we could improve clown lives. So I think we need to. That's the ticket I got elected on, really.
I'm very impressed. And what do you think about, because obviously there's a lot of happy, silly clowns that are now hopefully going to become sensible. What about scary clowns?
Yeah, this is the big problem. People have decided they're scared of clowns. But I think those people they need to grow up, don't they? The clowns, the clowns are nice. We're not scaring anyone. We're just getting through our day, eating the custard, which looks a bit like shaving foam,
Yes, it does. Yeah,
bu
yeah.
buying normal sized shoes and a car each, and yeah, just stop being scared of us. We're no more scary than say a chaffinch or a small rabbit.
Well, I mean, I think a part of it is, I mean, the small rabbits could be scary. Like, I suppose actually, it depends where a small rabbit was. Like, if a small rabbit was hiding in your wallet when you opened it and it leapt out, you'd be
That
scared.
could be
You know,
scary,
if it
yeah.
was in your shoe and you're trying to put a shoe on, that would be, especially if you had a large clown shoe. Yeah, but I know what you mean, and I think a lot of it is that people don't expect clowns in places. You know, people expect clowns when they go to the circus, but they don't expect clowns to be lurking around a door or hiding in a sewer. You know, so I suppose if you're insisting that clowns go to proper jobs and work in the fire brigade, then maybe they wouldn't be in unexpected places.
Yeah, it's wholesale image change that I'm
Yes,
going for. And this starts with spending slightly less time in sewers would really help. I
that's
appreciate that.
that's really good. That's good. Fewer in sewers. There's a nice slogan there, and I don't know what you ran on, but I really appreciate everything you're doing, and I thoroughly look forward to going to Clowntown one day and everything being grey and dull and very
Yeah, that
sensible.
is
Yeah.
very much what we're aiming for. We need that. Yeah, that's just the whole outlook for clowns in the future because
Yes.
clowns they've been a little bit dated. People have seen the spotty trousers. Get some nice grey trousers, nicely
That's fair.
pressed.
Do you think, for balance, that everyone in offices needs to wear big baggy clown? Because there needs to be some balance. I think sometimes.
I suppose if it allows them to vote in the next clown elections, then I'm up for that because
That's true.
yeah, we need a lot more on the clown electorate, and yeah, we want more supporters. Yeah, that would bring clowning to the masses, I suppose.
That's true. Is that how you? Are there specific ways that you vote in a clown election compared to other elections? Like, should you use a pencil that's wobbly? Do you? Is
Yeah,
it?
you want one of those huge pencils that you get in like museum gift shops.
Yes, that's it. One
Uh,
of those giant pencils.
yeah.
That's lovely.
Because yeah, there's not really any reason for those pencils to exist. I don't know who buys them, but that
No,
that would be the reason we could get them into the polling booths at the clown elections.
they're so big, and there's not really paper that's big enough for you to write on. You're right. I don't know whoever. I've never seen anyone like say, "Oh, I've got to fill in a form," and then they pull out a giant pencil case of one of those pencils. I've never seen it happen.
Well, yeah, I mean it sets off a whole chain reaction because you need the bigger pencil case, you need the bigger paper, you then need a bigger desk, you need a bigger house. Everything just changes. Your whole life is dictated by the
Everything
size of
has
this
to be
pencil.
giant, and it's really exhausting. Like everything, if everything's bigger, it's going to be heavier. It's going to be a lot harder to do. It's going to be a lot harder to sit on a chair when you've got to climb up it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty. I suppose it's like the life of a, well, no, not even the life of a toddler. I was going to say it's like being sort of 2 years old again, but 2 year olds still get normal sized pencils.
I wonder if that's why they're so popular in children's gift shops, is that little kids quite like to go back to that feeling of being smaller and having a huge pencil.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. It does make you think that you're miniature using normal size stuff. That is quite good. It's a bit like the whole like, and I can't remember who said this originally, but I think it was a comedian that said it, where if you take four chunky Kit Kats and put them next to each other, then it's like you've got a normal size Kit Kat, but you're really small.
That's very good.
It's good, yeah.
Because yeah, the Kit Kats they brought out a new range called the sharing range recently, and I always thought that that was the point of Kit Kats anyway, that they're already very good for
Oh no.
sharing.
I mean,
But I
I
quite like
Yeah, I just think sharing ones clearly aren't for sharing. They're for having more Kit Kats to yourself.
Yeah.
Sharing with yourself over a longer range of time. That's, yeah. Yeah, no such thing as a sharing Kit Kat. Absolute nonsense. Well, listen, Gary, as I said already, it's so nice to have you back already. And it's so nice to have the official, to have an elected official. I don't think we've ever had that on this show before. So I'm honoured. I'm honoured that you could take time out of all your administrative clown duties to be here. And before, look, listen, much like the last time you were on, I've got a question that I think you are the only person that can answer it. But before we get there, you know the drill. I've got 2 admin questions. And I mean, you've now got a lot of admin to do already. Are you okay with 2 more questions?
Yeah. Hit me with that admin. I love it. There's a lot of admin when you're running for election, so I'm very used to it now. I'm in that headspace.
Okay, are you going to fill it in using an absolutely giant-sized pencil? Like, is that how
Yes.
you're going to... Do I need to wait for you to... Like, it's going to take a long time to write out the answers to these.
Yeah, I need a gigantic form, and I'll write in huge letters.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
that,
this could
that-
be...
that's just my dream.
I mean, this could take a while. That's my only worry. I mean, I think if you want to say the answers to these out loud, and then maybe you could scribe them later...
Okay,
in your
I'll
own
take my
time.
own minute. Yeah, that sounds
that'd
good.
be that. I'm just thinking for the sake of that. My worry is that like the listeners to the show are really good and they're very patient and they like all sorts of ideas, but hearing a man like yourself scribbling an answer for maybe up to 2 or 3 hours using a giant pencil, that might be tricky listening, I think.
What an end result, though, because it would look incredible, especially if you were in a helicopter and you could see it from above. I think it would be worth the time that it would take to listen to that, just to see how great that would look.
That's true, actually. Then maybe I should be thinking about the long game here. You're right. Yeah. Well, okay, you go for it, Gary. I'll just sit back and I'll. No, let's not put the listeners through this. Look, okay. Question number 1. You've answered this before, and I've got to check it again though because it's obviously our legal obligation. This show is suitable for people of all possible ages, every single age of empires, the age of kingdoms, 6 years old, 403, whatever you think. And I just need to check that you're going to keep this show family friendly and find out if there are any rude words you won't be saying during this show.
Yeah, so I do have a word that is actually, this is a word that is very controversial in my family. And that word is Zog, Z-O-G. And the reason for that is this goes back about 20 years now to when my mum and dad decided they wanted to get a dog. And my dad read in a book that you need to come up with a word that the dog can recognize, which makes it do its poopy business, basically. Can I say poopy business? I'm not
I mean,
going to
I
get
think so.
cancelled.
As long as it depends. Poopy business isn't the phrase that you're not going to say, is it? So therefore, you can say
No,
it.
no.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we came up with the word Zog, which is a way of getting the dog to do its poopy business.
Right.
And it took us quite a long time to think of this word because it needs to be a word that you're happy to use in public, but also it needs to be a word that you're not going to use in another context and cause the dog to do its business. For example, you don't want to say fridge and the dog poos. You don't want to say sandwich and the dog poos. So we came up with the word Zog, and now, whenever I hear that word, I associate it with dogs doing that. So I need to not use it.
I mean, this is fascinating to me, and I'm very pleased you're not going to use it for the show. I've got some questions. Question number 1 being, you say that this is a controversial word in your family. You do mean the historic family of Garys, correct?
Yes, all the Garys. It goes way back.
So I'm just double checking. And secondly, poopy business. Is that the official poo-based business that a dog has to conduct? Is that like it goes to the poo office, it gets categorized into different poo filing systems? Does it operate like a proper business?
Yeah, well, that's the medical term for it. I think poopy admin would be another.
Admin,
Yeah.
Yes.
The dogs they're pretty used to doing it. We let them do it. We don't tell them how to do it. We just use the words that prompt it.
No, that's fair. It's good to know that your dog is a professional pooer. You know, it's a business rather than just a hobbyist, someone who only poos on weekends.
Yes.
That's why I'm just double checking. But I'm pleased you won't say Zog. I think it is not a word I'd necessarily want used on this podcast. I'm curious to know why you chose a word that rhymes with dog.
Well, when, you because well, the dog has a name that is usually not dog, so
Oh,
that is fine.
yes,
So you
yes,
rarely have to use the word dog around the dog, ironically. Uh,
yes. But are you not
and
worried that the dog would mishear you saying the word dog in maybe another circumstance, and then the dog would immediately poo?
this is the big problem that I have
Mm,
thought long and hard
mm.
about because if the dog mishears anything, also if there was another word that sounded a little bit like Zog or included the part Zog, then you could have a messy situation.
Yes.
There was a 1990s Austrian footballer called Andreas Herzog, for example, and I talk about him a lot. Many a conversation about his career, and if that happens, the dog could just walk into the room as I'm finishing saying his name, and just make a mess
That's
everywhere.
terrible. Well, also, and I don't want to stereotype any aliens listening to the show, but Zog to me feels like the name of an alien. And I'm worried that there'd be an incredible day where aliens finally contact Earth and the leader comes down and says, I am the head of the aliens. My name is Zog. And then your dog walks up to it and poos. And then that ruins all intergalactic unity and possibly starts a terrible, terrible galactic war.
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously not thought this
Yeah.
through. So I need, yeah, I had not considered the intergalactic war angle at
Yeah.
the time.
Just
But I
worth
mean,
thinking about. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the aliens, they're going to be confused anyway that there is a word that just makes an animal poo.
That's true.
Um,
That's true.
yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's amazing. You've got one word. One word that it'd be incredible if humans had that as well. You could just point at them and shout the word, and then they'd have to go.
I mean, I assume it's possible with a human.
Mm. Yes,
I've never
absolutely.
tried.
Never
I guess you could teach a human to poo on cue at a certain word.
poo on cue. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Look, thank you for taking step number one and not saying Zog on this show. I appreciate that.
That's okay.
Not least because what if any of our listeners are dogs and it just causes them to poo straight away while they're trying to listen,
Yeah.
and that could
Well,
be.
imagine the power of broadcasting that. Just yeah, yeah, I guess with great power comes great responsibility, and that's
Yes.
why we must not say it.
Well, yeah, could go really wrong. Well, listen to any dog listeners who've tuned in. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, and I hope you're at least able to pause and hopefully we won't say Zog again, and Gary definitely won't say Zog, so you won't be
Yes.
pooing endlessly throughout the show. Gary, right? Well, thank you for answering that question. The second question, oh, it's a tricky one today, but I think you're up to it. I think you can handle this as a mayor, as an official mayor. Gary, would you rather all the food that you tried to eat bounced away like rubber balls and then you had to catch it, or that a small earwig lived on top of your ear and shouted instructions at you day and night?
Ooh, this is something I do give a lot of thought, so I'm glad you brought it up. And I
Yeah.
think I think I mean I don't want to be told what to do by an
Mm,
earwig. If it was just making conversation, or saying really nice things, being quite complimentary, giving me a little bit of a
mm.
confidence boost, that would be lovely. But if it's quite bossy, that's
Yes.
going to make me really unhappy. So I don't think I want the earwig.
Yeah,
Whereas the bouncy food, that's exercise, isn't it?
that's true. That's true. I mean, I suppose the thing with the earwig is we can't say for sure if it will be bossy or if it will be suggest really good ideas. I mean, it could be like the rat in Ratatouille, where it just tells you really brilliant things and enhances everything you do, or it could be an awful, horrible earwig who's just shouting rude words, and you could be shouting Zog all
Yeah.
day in your ear, and then you're in trouble. Sorry, dogs. Um, you're right. Bouncy food, though. I don't know, like when you're really, really hungry and you just want to like take a bite of a sandwich, and then suddenly it bounces away, you'd be so annoyed.
I mean, yeah, there is that. I guess you'd want to eat in a very small room so that you can just it can go anywhere. It can
Yes,
bounce off the walls. You can just sort of sit there with your mouth open and hope that it bounces in at some point.
that's clever. That's very clever, actually. Things like popcorn or grapes could be actually quite fun like that.
Yeah, imagine just like hundreds of grapes bouncing around a room and you just run into it with your mouth open. That'd be
That'd be great.
fantastic fun.
That would be really good. There must be some foods that wouldn't I don't know if I'd want a pineapple bouncing around if you had to
No,
cut it up.
you probably don't want soup either.
No, not
Like I
soup.
think I think
Not
just
soup.
you'd want to put in one of those sort of hazmat suits that they wear when there's been a nuclear accident,
Yes.
maybe with just a little hole over the mouth so that you can just run in with your mouth open and get as much soup in
Mm,
your mouth as you can. But
yeah.
yeah, it's going to be a real mess.
That's good. I'd find that quite scary. I'll be honest. And also just things like you say you'd have to stay in a room, but like, you know, what if it's a nice day, you want to go for a picnic, but then suddenly you're hitting people in the face with bouncy soup all across a park, and you know they'd be so unhappy with you. I think it's a very hazardous thing.
It is, yeah. I mean, it would basically kill off eating outside. It would kill off restaurants as well, I think, because everyone sitting at a table would just be getting everyone else's food.
Yes.
You could, I guess certain foods lend themselves quite well to it, like Scotch eggs.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, all the round foods, apples.
Yeah, that's good. I suppose you could have restaurants a bit like those trampoline parks, which might make it fun.
Oh, that would be great.
But it would still be annoying getting someone else's order bouncing over to you. So, yeah, that's right. A takeaway, I suppose, would take itself away. That could be handy.
Yeah, they just throw it out the door and see who it bounces
see
to.
where it goes. Yeah. Still, it's problematic. I mean, are you still thinking that's a better option than shouty earwig, though?
Well, do I have to do what the earwig says? I guess that's crucial.
You don't know. There's nowhere that the earwig. There's nowhere it says you have to do what the earwig says. It's simply that it will keep. I guess if you don't do what it says, it will probably keep shouting. But then maybe it's on top of your ear. Maybe you could put a single earplug in.
Yeah. And also, like you said, it could be given really good advice. It could be like a life coach earwig that is like giving you great choices and is going to make you rich and famous. So it's quite appealing. But you wouldn't know. You would just hope for the best when you took on the earwig's orders. It could just be, yeah.
What's your final choice then, Gary? I have to ask.
So I'm going to go with the bouncy food. Okay. I think it gives me exercise. I think it gives me fun in a restaurant. And I think it gives me a nice little room in my house covered in food that I could just run into with my mouth open, which I just love the thought of.
That's fair. And I think, you know, over time you'd learn to only eat Scotch eggs, jacket potatoes, easy peelers. I think, it makes sense. You can adapt to that one. Yeah. Whereas the earwig's constant, so... Yeah,
the earwig's a bit more of a loose cannon. I don't know what he's doing. Yeah.
I can't trust these earwigs. I mean, the fact that they're called earwigs and they don't actually sit on your ear as a nice little wig, I've always been annoyed by that. And
it's dishonest, if anything, really. They're not, that's right from the very start. They're kind of lying about what they do. So it's a bad start to the relationship before you've even said anything.
Terrible. Loads of insects like that. Ladybirds, they're not birds. Butterflies are not made of butter.
Or ladies.
Yeah, not ladies or I mean, they might. Some of them might be. I don't really know how.
Well, I guess probably half of them are.
Half of them, but yeah, butterflies not buttery. Bees,
jellyfish
probably do other letters of the alphabet. Yeah, I mean exactly. Yeah, there's jellyfish, not fish, or jelly. Yeah, look, it's a whole. We could get into this. It's a whole world of trouble because, frankly, a lot of the animal kingdom are liars, and it's hard to. It's
about time someone was calling them out on this.
You
never hear David Attenborough starting a show with, "Look at these liars."
We are looking at all the liars. They could do one of those series. It could just be called Liars, and it focuses on the biggest liars in the animal kingdom. I like that. I'd watch that. That's good. Well, I feel like my worry is we've already made all the dogs listening poo themselves. I've now called all the animals listening liars. I'm just, Gary, you know, when we finish this, I'm worried that I will go outside and there'll be a lot of angry animals coming to get me.
Yeah, this has not been one that the RSPCA will be happy with.
No. So look, that's animals. I'm sorry, but some of you just need to sort it out. Gary, we've got this question. Thank you for answering the admin questions. This question has been sent in by June. I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to try and read it to you in full, but it's got a lot of emojis, and so it could be quite difficult. So we'll see how we go. So, hi, my name is June. Two people kissing emoji, Buckingham Palace soldier emoji, poo emoji, alien emoji, angry cat, smirking cat, angry cat, smiley face boy, smiley face old man, money face, grimacing smile face, slightly concerned face, devil face, upside down face, sleeping face, sticky out tongue, winking face, smirking face, glasses face, big smile face, curious face, tongue sticky out face, kissing face, laughing, crying face. This is tough. Strawberry cheese, hazelnut, I think, pear, curry, ramen, sorbet, ice cream, And my question is, what does ASMR stand for? Because I think that it means Animal Sour Mars Room. Am I wrong? There you go.
Well, I'm impressed by the emojis to start things off. I wonder if they are part of June's name. If that is
Oh my
indeed something in
gosh.
her family, that they add another emoji every time someone is born in the family, because that would be great.
That's amazing. So you think that one of her long, long distant great grandparents could have been a bowl of ramen?
Yes. And then
Wow.
it became bowl of ramen, face with money eyes, and then you just kept adding a new one each time.
Gosh, do you know what? That's lucky. It's funny you said it because I nearly thought maybe I'm not going to read these out. And then I would have been so disrespectful. Not only would I have upset dogs and all the other animals, I would have upset June as well, which would have been terrible. And I hope, June, that, I've done your family justice. I've read them all out.
Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, the register in school must be amazing when when they come to
It
reading out
takes so
June's name.
long. Takes
Yeah.
so long. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But there's a lot of there's a lot of interesting history in her family. I mean, there's an alien in there. There's a little devil in there. There's an old man and a young boy. I suppose that makes sense. And a hazelnut. So what a
Mm.
life! And then she's named after a month, the month of June.
Yeah.
So I don't know how she feels the rest of the year. That's not easy.
Yeah, I mean I don't know. I mean, I guess we're jumping to conclusions that each of the ancestors have had some sort of resemblance to these emojis. I wouldn't
Mm,
like to assume that one of them was an acorn or that one of them was a bowl of ramen. We'd have to look deeper into our family tree to find that out.
that's true. That's very true. Well, I mean, we can't possibly tell. I mean, what we do know is that throughout all these generations, throughout all this knowledge of ramen and sorbets and hazelnuts, nobody seems to know what ASMR stands for. Although June does answer it herself. She says she thinks it means Animal Sour Mars Room. Am I wrong? Is she wrong? You're a word person. You know words.
Yeah, as we've established, I know every word,
Yeah,
and
every word. Yeah.
I'm very impressed with June actually because she has got that 100% correct,
Mm.
and she's obviously been very well educated. And you know what? I listen to this podcast quite a lot, and to be honest with you, sometimes I think these kids are just making this stuff up. So to actually have someone send in
Wow.
something that is 100% accurate, yeah, that's really impressive and that's a question from someone who's really done their homework, and it does indeed stand for Animal Sour Mars Room, and that actually comes from well, it simply means that if an animal walks into a room on Mars, it will sour the atmosphere of that room, and
Oh.
that is a point of Mars etiquette, and that they don't like animals going into their rooms. It's not like here where you've just got dogs zogging all over the floor.
Sure, sure,
It's
sure.
yeah, it's a Mars thing that they have the same animals on Mars. People don't
Is that
necessarily
right?
know this.
I
Yeah, they've got
didn't
the same
realise that.
animals as here. They've got pigs and wild horses and things like that, but
Right.
they all just have to wear special oxygen helmets so that their eyes don't go all big in the Mars
Oh
atmosphere.
yes, of course.
But
Yeah.
they're not allowed to go into rooms, which seems very backwards to us Earthlings because we've always got pigs and sheep running around our rooms. But on Mars, they
Yeah.
think that it sours the mood a great deal, so they don't let them in.
Well, does that mean also because I'm guessing then if they're not going in rooms, they're always going for walks. So then where do they go when they're not going for walks? They're just endlessly going for walks.
I guess some of them like to just stand around. I mean, animals, they do like to just
They
stand
do like
around.
to
You'll see
stand
a
around.
cow in a field, it's just
Yeah.
standing there. You don't know why it's chosen that point of the field, why it's facing in that direction.
Mm,
They just like to do that, I think.
yeah.
So,
I always thought it was
yeah, and that,
plotting. I just assume they stand there plotting
yeah,
evil
yeah.
plans.
Especially on Mars,
Mm,
because they're going to
yes.
be, it lends itself. There's a lot of evil aliens kicking about on Mars, a lot
Yes.
of evilness in general. So the
Yes.
animals are probably a part of that.
Yeah, and then you've probably got evil aliens, probably called Zog, but you've also got animals who are walking around zogging everywhere.
It's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. No wonder you wouldn't let them in a room. I fully understand that. I mean, I suppose my question then for you, Gary, from June's question, is a lot of people like listening to ASMR, and often like I'll see a video and it says like autumn leaves ASMR or I don't know me throwing a pillow at a child's head ASMR. I'm trying to think. I haven't really seen any of these videos. I don't really know. Like a feather falling on the face of a sad toad ASMR or something. It's always like something like that. So is this? Do people just like listening to the sound of an animal souring the mood in a room on Mars?
Well, can I just say that a feather falling on the face of a sad toad, just a beautiful image. I would definitely listen to that, or watch it. But yeah, I think the people's decision to listen to these things, I think that's a grave misunderstanding of the phrase. You should not be listening to animals souring rooms. That's just, that's horrific. And I don't know where people started to decide that they would want to do that, but that's obviously wrong.
Yes, yes, it is weird. But then I mean, at the same time, I can't say I've ever listened to it, and you never know. Maybe a bit like whale song or something. Maybe it's really relaxing.
It could be, but you've got to bear in mind as well all the aliens from Mars in the background getting really annoyed and angry at the
Yeah,
animals and swearing at them and shouting at them. And that's, if anything, that's going to be quite a stressful experience, I would have thought. So
that's
if
true.
people are listening to what is genuine ASMR, then that feels like it's going to make everyone really uptight and angry rather than relaxed. That's the opposite of what we want.
That's true, but I listen. I'm gonna just play this card because I feel it's important saying I don't know how aliens speak. I don't know if you know how aliens speak, Gary. It could also be that aliens speak in the most relaxing voice you've ever heard, and that also sounds like whale song. Like I'm just thinking, or that sounds like the feather falling on the face of a sad frog. I don't. I'm sad to say that I haven't been to Mars yet. I know people keep saying, "Oh, you should go for the weekend or whatever," but I haven't been, so I don't really know what it sounds like.
I think that's why we should not be going yet because we don't understand these
Mm,
sort of cultural differences, and we're just going to offend them if we go up there and start, taking a kangaroo into someone's living room and everyone's, oh God, what are you doing that for? And then they start yelling at us because they're so angry, but to us it sounds like peaceful whale song, and we're just, oh, thank
yeah.
you, that's nice. And actually, they're furious.
And then your dog will do a poo in front of them, and then there's a war. Yeah, there's a lot. I feel like you're right. We need to be safer about all these things.
Yeah, it is not the way to start an intergalactic relationship.
No,
So we need to find out more about their culture before we go swanning in and leading our animals into their houses.
I listen. I agree with you, Gary. This is such wisdom. This is why I asked you on the show. Thank you so much. And also, thanks to Jean for a good question that she also answered herself. We didn't actually have to answer it. You could have just answered it with yes, you're right. That and that, and that's probably we could have all gone home. But it's the kind of intelligent listeners we have. But Gary, listen. Thank you for your answers. Thank you for coming back on this show. Thank you for leading clowns to a more sensible way of life. But also, there's another reason why you're on today's show, and that is because the Notwitches sequel, Prison Break, is out right now. What happens now I'm aware some of our listeners may not have read Notwitches yet, which they need to go and do. They need to go and do that first. What can we tell anyone about the sequel without spoiling everything ever?
Yeah, so it is difficult to not spoiler things, but so the first Notwitches is about a little girl called Miranda Notwitch,
Mm-hmm.
and she is investigating the whereabouts of her parents, basically. And in the sequel, Notwitches Prison Break, we find out that her parents are in a prison for witches. So she sets out to set them free, but in order to set them free, she first has to break into the prison. So she's breaking in and breaking out.
That's really hard. It's hard enough to
Yeah.
break out of a prison, but then to break into a prison. I think that there's a film about that, isn't there? None of our listeners will have seen that. I think is it Nicolas Cage? He did it once, but
Oh
then
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but it's generally no one else. Nicolas Cage can do a lot of things. He's Nicolas Cage. It's a very hard thing to do. So Miranda's it's pretty hardcore for her to be able to break in and break out, and then get her
Yeah,
parents. Yeah.
yeah, well, she's a very talented little girl, and she also she has some blossoming magic powers that she is discovering as the books go on. So yeah, there's a lot of witchy magic and weird characters, and hopefully kids will find it really funny.
I'm sure they will. Well, as I said to you before, because and I have to be honest with the listeners here, I've not read The Notwitches yet because my daughter wouldn't let me anywhere near it because she kept reading it and laughing to herself very loudly in her room. So that makes me know it's funny, but I also know nothing about it myself because I'm not allowed. So I know that she's really excited about Prison Break as well, and it sounds excellent. And it's written by you, and you are the word
Yes.
person who knows all the words, and it's illustrated by Dottie Sutton, who is absolutely brilliant at all the illustrations. It looks very
Yes.
exciting, and it is out right now in. Is it in good, bad, and sort of ambivalent bookshops? Is it in mysterious bookshops as well?
Yes, I have been very personally checking all the
Okay,
bookshops to
good.
make sure whether they are good or bad, and just giving them a little rating. And it is in all the bookshops.
Wow, that's good. That's good. As long as it's in all, some of them, the really hard to reach ones, it's got to be in the really easy to get to ones. It's got to. You've really got to cater to everyone, but I respect that you have done. Thank you. Is it in any of the clown bookshops?
Yes, absolutely. It's on the very high shelves in the clown bookshop, so
Right.
that you have to go up a ladder and get into various scrapes as you try to retrieve it.
Excellent. I knew you'd do it properly, Gary. I didn't doubt you at all. So I'm pleased. I'm pleased to hear that it's worked out. Well, thanks again. Thank you again for coming on the show. Notwitches sequel is out now. What else have you got coming up in the next 7.5 to 8.5 minutes?
Oh, I am gonna just go and lie down and think about what's happened because I think I think I yeah, it's been such a whirlwind last 40 minutes or so, that I think I
Yes.
need to just take stock and yeah, think about it all and give it some time to take over in my head.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, thank you for me too. I should do it as well, but I'm
Mm.
worried I'm going to go outside and get attacked by all the animals I've just called a liar. So I'll probably
Yeah,
just be
do be
running
careful.
furiously from ladybirds and butterflies. Listen, Gary, have a lovely time lying down, and thanks again for coming to the show, and we'll hopefully see you soon.
Thanks for having me, Tiernan. Thank you. Cheers.
Big thanks to Gary Panton for having time to answer June's very important question in between being the official mayor of Clowntown. June, I hope you liked your answer, and if not, why not send me any complaints you have directly to a room in Mars by a delivery animal, and everyone will be so annoyed that the delivery animal's arrived, they'll never pass it on, and I won't have to see it. Gary's sequel to The Notwitches Prison Break, is out right now, as is the first book, and you can get both at all the bookshops, whether they're good or bad or just a bit whiffy, but generally quite nice. And don't forget, if you're based in the UK and you'd like to win a copy of The Notwitches Prison Break, just get your nearest flubbery gulpers, grown-ups, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk with the words, "Can I has a book, please?" and the first 3 I receive will get sent a copy. Oh, we've stopped. Why is that, tiny marching ants? Where are we? Why have you stopped? Uh-oh. You brought me and the skunk and the lemons with arms and legs? What horribly lemony, fresh, but somehow farty skunk smells. This is weird. They're nice, but they're awful. How are the ants going to survive that? On second thoughts, why do I care? I'm off. While I head back to Comedy Club for Kids HQ, one last message about where Linda might be. Hi, I'm Oscar and I'm 100 fridges old. Linda works at Tesco. Oh, does she, Oscar? Why didn't I read this message before getting attacked by skunks, lemons and ants? It would have been so much easier. Right, well, listeners, off to Tesco I go then. Linda, I'm coming to find you, Linda. Linda? Linda? That's weird. Doesn't seem to be any sign of Linda in this Tesco's, but all the aisles do seem to be full of lemons. Not again. Bye. You have been listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents. Radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense. It's the end.